So go ahead.
Sorry, I'm on the screen share. Hold on. There we go. Can everybody see that? Good. Thumbs up. Um, Hi everybody. Like I said before, I'm the CEO of Wind Power Solutions. We're a blade recycling company based out of Colorado. Prior to starting this company, I was a wind turbine technician for roughly 10 years in wind energy. I've installed roughly maybe 2,500 megawatts worth of wind farms. So we're pretty familiar with how everything functions on a wind farm as far as a company. I'm going to go over a quick overview of the company, few challenges. I did procrastinate and do this last minute, so it's going to be pretty boring. But if you guys have any questions, more than happy to answer them. I know this is a pretty big issue right now. Let's see here. So wind power solutions. So what we do is we go remove the blades from the field, then we process them down and recycle them. Aside from that, we do tower demolition. So we handle all the metal recycling services. We do all the e-waste, which would be your oils and um, that sort of stuff, electronics. And then we also help assess whether you can reuse the parts for whether we're having supply chain issues in that area. So sometimes we'll go in and we'll assess if we need sensors and stuff like that in the turbine, and we'll go strip a bunch of that out and then sell it back off into the market. I'll save you from this big long sales pitch over here. So our company history and overview, we were formed about a little over a year and a half ago. Um, we got our first project roughly 5 months after we started. We didn't spend too much time in the R&D phase. We wanted to get to revenue as quickly as possible. Outside of that, we about 2 to 3 months after that, we were awarded our first repower. So it was about 81 blades versus one blade, so a little uh, bigger scale. And then as we started moving into 2024, we started to look into vertical integration. What we initially offered was we would go grab the blades, we would process them down, and then sell that material to a variety of recyclers. We came to a quick conclusion that the recycling market was pretty fickle as far as, who was real and who was not. So we decided to open our own recycling line this year, which will go up in May. Um, we just purchased our first 40-acre facility in Oklahoma, which is where we will headquarter out of. Um, and then let's see, yeah, just when we closed out last year, we just completed our third utility scale repower. Um, by the numbers, we have recycled 2,600 tons worth of blades. Um, we have diverted 2,375 full wind turbine blades from landfills. Um, we are one of the only companies that has not sent a single blade to a landfill. So sometimes there's instances where, maybe a blade's burnt and you can't find a home for it. We've done a very good job on our diligence on trying to find a home for everything. Um, we've currently worked in 10 plus states. We've completed 30 projects. We have a 100% success rate on recycling. So any project we've ever done, we can go back and track and verify and give over the certificates of recycling that we've provided to our clients. Um, and then moving into this year, we are currently contracted for roughly 8,000 to 12,000 tons of wind turbine blade material. So about 3 times heavier than last year. This is kind of a data map of where our resources are going to sit. Hold on. So our main facility, so background on the map, so all the dots and stuff you see, those are the current wind turbines that are in the United States. And then I believe they're color coded per the megawattage they put out. But our main facilities, that purple dot you see in Oklahoma, We're going to be opening our South Dakota facility in June of this year. Our Oklahoma facility will handle roughly 40,000 tons worth of recycled material a year. And then the other outlet up north in South Dakota will probably sit around half that capacity at 20,000 tons. And then the other two regional hubs, we're still in the planning phase, but we're hoping to execute on the West Virginia and Nevada facilities in 2026. And those will probably be like 10,000 tons, probably half the capacity of the South Dakota. So why these maps are important, this is kind of paints the picture of the problem. So when wind kicked off back in the 1990s, you can kind of see the progression throughout the map where all the heat maps started popping up. Most of these dots that came up in 1990 all the way to 2012, all of these projects are pretty much up for repower or the blades are getting retired. So it's a lot of blades. So 10,000 to 20,000 wind turbine blades are estimated to be retired from 2030 to 2040 annually. That accumulates to 43 million metric tons. And I wanted a perspective on what our facility can handle versus what the market's pumping out to kind of show you guys the problem. So if we were to be at 100% capacity for the next 15 years, we would only hit 28% of the market at our facility, and it would probably be the second biggest on the market right now. We definitely need a lot more solutions. I think there's a lot more recyclers that need to come to the table to handle this problem. So I'm not going to read through all the little details on this, but the main problem with blade recycling has been storage. I'm sure everybody's seen the article where, you know, maybe there was a old lady who got a lease and then she got hundreds of blades stored on her land and then the company went under. This has been historically the problem all along. We're actually getting ready to go out to northeastern Colorado and do a project where this exact situation happened. A company went out of business. Her husband signed a lease and now she doesn't know what to do with all the blades out there. So we've been working with her diligently. You know, the asset owners didn't want to take control because they already paid for the process. And then the OEMs don't want to pay for it either because, well, it should already been recycled. So it really only affects the landowner who just wanted to make a few extra bucks and sell some of their land. You know, it's a sad story across the board. And I think if we went out and looked at all the articles right now, it probably doesn't even touch 10% of the graveyards that exist across the US. So these are some of the projects done. The one on the south side or on the bottom right, this was 1,800 legacy blades out in California. We were sitting on a mountain. We had protected species all over the place. It was a very, I'll say challenging. It was a challenging project. I feel like every time we do another project, it never gets easier. It's always, okay, here's the next challenge. The material on the bottom left is some of our pre-shredded material, and I'll kind of go over that in the last slide. An overview of our process and everything. And then on the top left, that's kind of what the blades look like when we go pick them up on site and we remove them. And then the top right photo is a large project we did where we had to make a makeshift recycling plant and recycle all those blades. It's been extremely challenging. So for our process, so I'll start at the beginning. So a client calls us, we go out, we'll downsize the blade. Trucking's a big issue right now. So you don't want all those carbon emissions when you send, you know, small pieces of blade on a truck and then, you know, instantly you're up. One blade could take up to 3 trucks. We have very specific cutting patterns, how we do our blades. So typically we can fit an entire wind turbine blade on a single truck. And we've developed special racking systems to make this happen. And then we we track all of our carbon emissions for our truckloads to see what we look like year over end and what our reduction was this year versus last year based on volumes of trucks and blades. Um, all this material is tracked. So we hand out two certificates. One's a letter of destruction. And this would be the first phase where it enters our facility and we downsize this material into probably 4x4 sheets. We take all the bill of ladings that are associated with the trucking and we attach this to the letters of destruction. This year we're implementing GPS tracking on every truckload. So all of our clients will have real-time data to every single truckload, and whether they want to get on there and see whether truck drivers at 7-Eleven or not is up to them. Um, Once we've downsized the material into the 4x4 sheets, we do a pre-processing of the material. It goes through a giant shredder, and then this material turns into that bottom photo on the last page where it's about it'll fluctuate from 2 to 6 inches, and it's a giant shred of material. Um, Once we've done the pre-shredding process, and it goes into our recycling line, which is just a series of reduction processes and screens. And then we can size that material from there from a 20 millimeter length all the way down to or from a 20 millimeter width all the way down to a 0.25 millimeter product, which is there. And that is everything I have. Questions?
Liz, if you want to go ahead, and then I'll read the question in the chat.
Sure. So, Jeremy, could you explain more about what is contained in a wind power blade? And I don't know that I understand, are the blades getting recycled back into a new blade, or are you selling the shredded material to as a commodity?
Yeah, we're selling it as a commodity. So we produce an additive for concrete, and it's a replacement for polypropylene fibers. So that's where and then we're working on a few different technologies in the oil and gas space where we would use it for lost circulation material, and then a few different outlets for the housing markets. So yeah, it's an actual commodity when we produce it. And then blades are primarily composed of balsa wood, uh, resins, and then fiberglass and foam.
And are all of those materials separated out in your process and you sell them all? What's the percentage of material that you recover and can resell from a blade?
Yeah, so we recover about 97% right now. The 3% that's lost. So everything we grind down, our off taker can take it all. So we have less of a capital hit with it machinery. Um, the reason our process is effective is because we're not having to sift through all that stuff with our off takers. We can shred the entire blade down and we don't have to separate out the balsa, the foam. It all just goes in and gets crushed down. And then that 3% loss comes from when we're doing our processing of the blade. You'll have drop points where you'll lose a little bit of tonnage. And that all goes down into a containment mat. And then we're working on reclaiming that extra 3% right now.
Okay, and then Danielle had a question in the chat, and it was what type of shredder can handle shredding the blades?
It's a big shredder. It's a 900 horsepower. And then behind that we have a 1300 horsepower. So we have a 900 horsepower shredder, and then we have a 1300 horsepower grinder. And it's very it still amazes me to this day to see a full blade come into our property and then it gets ground down into this finite material that you can sift through your hands.
And then this is a personal question from school that I was learning about fiberglass and glass, and we use sand from the ocean, all this stuff. Anyways, do you know what they do with the fiberglass from the blades? Is it made into new turbines, or do you have any ideas where the products that you give to them goes into?
So we don't sell back to the OEMs. So we sell
Okay.
back to like concrete manufacturers.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we're replacing the new production of new polypropylene fibers.
Okay. Perfect. And then John asked the question of, does Colorado have any legislative bills to ban materials from the landfills? I
Not
guess
yet. We've been advocating for it, but no.
sounds good. And then did these bills, sorry if I missed it, see, Indiana, Wyoming, and North Dakota, did they all pass or were they in the works? How'd those end up?
Yeah. So Wyoming's still working on the landfill ban. They just recently passed a bill to throw blades in coal mines. I think it's creative and it's definitely a solution. I do think there's value in the materials though, and if you can reclaim those versus bury them, it's still a better business case. I don't think there's much leaching with the blades if you were to put them in a mine.
Okay, I agree. Okay, and then the North Dakota one, I'm in North Dakota right now, so I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going
Oh,
on?
gotcha.
Let's see. So they approved the bill, it sounds like and it passed.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, they've been the most adamant about it. They have tons of graveyards up there.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely one along the interstate on the way to my hometown. So,
Oh, gotcha.
yeah. Sweet. Liz, go ahead.
Um, Thanks. Jeremy, the legislation, does it ban the fiberglass or does it ban the wind turbine? What exactly is the legislation banning, and how is it funded? How is what is attached to that requirement that that material cannot be landfilled? Is there a funding mechanism to subsidize getting that material recycled or reclaimed?
So we've reached out to Wyoming because they had well, I guess it's probably the most notable photo for blade recycling right now. Everybody uses it for any marketing slam piece, but the Casper landfill, we were trying to work with them and see if there was money attached or something, some way we could get them out and recycle them. And there wasn't. I think at this point it's just historically been a ban. Figure something else out. But yeah, we haven't seen back end to drive it. What
And
what we're doing on our end, so our process is similar to other companies. It's entirely mechanical, so it's very cost efficient. I think historically why companies are failing in this market is where if you look at polypropylene fibers, you can buy them for a certain price rate. Um, and if you want to sell the material we're selling, you can't really put the green stamp on it and then sell it at a markup to a company that can get the fibers lower, newly manufactured, right? I don't think a concrete company cares so much about that. I think there's a driver there, but I do think it's a price point because of the volumes they're taking in. So what we've done is we've modeled our entire business to take the lowest capital expenditure possible to produce this material. And then we're trying to make it entertaining with our price point on the front end. So right now we're half the cost of anybody else on the market to be able to recycle a blade. So if an owner came to us, we want them to want to recycle because it's cost effective, not just because they have to.
and what I'm hearing is the bulk of the materials that you reclaim from the wind turbines are sent to cement factories to be incorporated into cement rather than recycled into a new turbine blade. Is there a technological avenue to get the material recycled back into a wind turbine?
Yeah, that a lot of other companies are working on that, like Vestas and I think Siemens Gamesa was too. We're not involved in thermally separating or chemically separating the fibers in the blade. So we took a different approach with our mechanical processing. So we can't produce virgin-like materials with our process. We can manufacture um, used materials and sell those off.
So, in order for the material that the blade is made out of to be recycled into a new blade, it needs to be broken down to its elemental components because um, the combo product that you're shredding is actually multiple materials combined. And in
It
order
is,
to
yeah,
be recycled,
and
it would
you,
need to be
yeah, to be
brought
able
down.
to put those materials back into a blade, you would have to bring it back to its virgin state.
And you mentioned balsa wood as a component. Is that something that's also sent off to cement, or is that a different market?
No, it's all ground up, and it all comes in one product. So the foam, the balsa wood, it hasn't affected any of the testing. We've gotten very good results, strength wise on our fibers. It's pretty similar to what you'll see in polypropylene, and then it's about, I want to say it's half the cost or double the cost, um, or sorry, half it's half the cost of polypropylene fibers.
And I am terrible about monopolizing questions. So please, other folks, come off mic or raise your hand. But my next question is, do you have any data about the number of blades or the quantity of material that comes from blades is being currently landfilled? And maybe that was in your slide and I didn't grok it.
So we work with most clients in the wind industry. We've noticed that a lot of clients are switching to where they want to recycle the blades. It's usually adopted pretty quick. I mean, most OEMs will not landfill a blade. Most asset owners are the same way. I think with the some of the utilities, they're still on the fence about it. The private utilities, and then I wouldn't know the data that of blades that have been sent to a landfill, but it seems like, once a month we hear about a new graveyard, or we're having to send out a proposal on a new graveyard. I think we're probably currently bidding on over 1,000 blades that aren't associated with the project, and they're just laying in a field.
So that you go after projects where people call you and want you to come to a site, and then you also go after the graveyards where they're just sitting, you
Yeah,
know.
we primarily sit in the decommissioning market, and we're more client focused. Sometimes there's liens attached to these projects, so it's kind of hit or miss on whether you want to touch it or not. We generally want to help, but it's always not that easy if somebody's went out of business or yeah. So
Sure. Yeah. I have another question, but I'll pause if anyone else wants to jump in. Okay. And are there other companies that are doing something similar to what you are doing? Just trying to get an idea of what's going
yeah,
on.
there's a few other companies, one in Oklahoma, one in Iowa. We don't really work with them as competitors at this point. There's a lot of blades out there, so there's a group of us trying to work together just to make sure blades are getting recycled and not going to landfills.
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of what I was picking up. Sounds like you guys are all just trying to actually get the work done and work together. So Thank you
Yeah,
for
you
doing that.
there you've got your knuckleheads out there that want world domination, that'll always happen in a white space market, but for the most part we've all kind of banded together and said, hey, here's let's regionalize all of this and figure out a really good solution for all of us to be successful.
Awesome. Thank you for doing the work that you're doing to do that. Making it a peaceful resolution there.
Yeah.
I'll just read some questions from the chat. John was wondering, when added to cement, does this reduce the amount of rock and other materials, or do cement makers just increase the amount of sellable concrete mix? Do you know the answer to that?
So it's just an additive as a replacement. It doesn't replace any of the raw aggregates in the cement. It just replaces the other additives so you wouldn't have to put your polypropylene fibers. And I don't have the exact data on the test. I can get it, but the test results of these fibers are pretty impressive, especially from a price point. For companies like Cemex, where they're doing millions and millions of volume of concrete annually in one area. It's a big number when you add it up.
Uh, I guess to clarify, I wasn't sure how cement was made, but it sounds like instead of using a different mixture of product, polypropylenes, they're buying yours instead of some other company producing more new polypropylenes.
Yep, and they get a little box that's checked using these fibers versus somebody manufacturing some new products.
Okay.
Did you say it's more cost effective for them to use your product over the new?
It is. Ours is so our process, we're not necessarily like, we don't really focus on the revenue on the back end. We get a lot of money off the back end, but we've made sure our entire service is functioning. So, our off takers want to buy our material, and then on the front end, our suppliers want to supply blades to us. So we're making sure all that cost is shared throughout the entire process.
Sure.
We are 6 times lower of a cost than other people doing mechanical recycling. So by taking everything in house, we don't carry those transport costs of double handling material, and then we process material down, and then all that material goes 500 miles over here to another recycler. So we do everything in house. So we're able to take a lot of that cost back on us and then share that cost out.
Fantastic. And then in terms of collaboration, working with these other folks that are doing similar things, if there is a project that might be out of your reach, do you work with them or do you take on projects like out of your?
Yeah, we have limits to where if we're at too high of a capacity, the one thing you don't want to do in the recycling market is overload yourself, and then you can't provide certificates of recycling. It's our company wins a lot of projects because we're able to verify that we're completing projects. It's been the biggest bottleneck. People don't go and do their due diligence on a recycling company, and then they find out, well, they have 10,000 tons of material, which was their annual quantity. So they're instantly a year and a half behind before they get to our material. So I think a lot of that is just transparency, and that's I guess that's hard for some people to be transparent. But we no, we've got limits on our process. We can scale ours up pretty quickly. Our recycling line can actually handle 100,000 tons a year because it moves faster than our front shredding process. So the the lengthiest part of our process is downsizing the material and then getting it to that initial pre-shred.
Mhm.
Yep.
Got another question in the chat. Do you do the full decommissioning or primarily just the blade recycling? Danielle says they received the metal products from some large farms in the last few years. The size of pieces are incredible. And they,
Yeah, we do all the metal as well. So we have let's see, I think we have one repower up in Indiana right now. We have a few we're looking at in Colorado. We have a couple up in North Dakota. But yeah, we handle the entire uh metal fiberglass e-waste all the way down to civil reclamation.
cool. That's all the parts. And then let's see, MJ. Hopefully he kind of covered what he just said to the first part of your question. And then she was curious what the balsam wood is used for.
So it's not really used for anything. It just kind of goes into the process. We wanted to keep our costs low, so we didn't focus on finding a solution where everything's separated out. Most of the material falls through the process anyway. Um, most of the end product you get is going to be fiber, and when that wood gets broken down, or the balsa, it's almost like a powder anyway. The fiberglass takes the most beating. But it's just an additive in the to our process.
Go ahead, Liz.
Thanks. Thank you, Jeremy. To flesh out the question from Danielle a little bit, when you describe the equipment that you use on site to break a blade down so that you can fit a single blade onto a single truck, is part of that how you decommission the blade and chop through the metal?
Um, on the tower sections.
Um, her question was talking about the blades, but sure, the towers.
Gotcha. Yeah. So the metal we use burn bars, and it's cut via torch. And then the blades we use giant excavator saws, and they'll rotate 360 degrees so we can make precision cuts on the blades. When you're out on a farm, you're typically out on farmland, or somebody who's got a prized cow that doesn't want exposed to fiberglass. So we typically only make 5 to 6 small cuts on a blade. It's very surgical when we get out there, and very quick. We can, like, if we had a single blade on a wind farm, it typically takes us 4 to 5 hours to cut and remove that blade off site, load it out. It's a very, very quick, seamless process.
Thank you. And I'm going to add on to the question John put in the chat about what percentage of your blades come from Colorado? And then I would expand on that question of how much work are you doing in Colorado?
Yeah, so we've done a handful of projects in Colorado. We haven't done or we haven't performed any repowers yet. I think you're gonna look at those coming up here in the next 5 years, most likely. There's gonna be a handful of repowers that'll happen. They just had a repower out in Pete's Table. That company elected to landfill all those blades. Um, so yeah, can't get them all, but no, we're doing quite a bit of work in Colorado, and then all of our blades that come out of Colorado go down to our Oklahoma facility, and we kind of staged our facilities so the trucking's feasible.
And is there something in particular in terms of an action step you'd like the group to take away to increase the work that you are doing in Colorado?
It would be great from to ban it from landfills. That would be the best step. I wish a lot of companies would move forward with it, because I I think is there somebody from landfill? I think I saw somebody from Republic here. Yeah.
Randy,
We
So
do have, yeah, we have somebody from Republic, but she doesn't work directly for the landfill, but I'll let Brandy speak for herself.
I
Yeah, Liz is totally accurate. I'm not as involved with that side of things. I'm more on the government affairs side, so I should know a little bit
oh,
about
gotcha.
everything, but I don't. But yeah, I think that would be I mean, it's interesting that things like that have happened in North Dakota where I grew up and hasn't been too much of a conversation in Colorado yet. So super interesting.
Yeah, and I think you guys haven't had the in Colorado, there hasn't been the repower activity there has in North Dakota and Texas and these other states. So I think they're a little more adamant about uh, finding a solution.
Mhm.
But when we send blades to a landfill, what I understand from a landfill is you guys sell airspace. Um, so I think when you send a whole blade there that isn't hollowed out, um, for you to capture all that space, you would have to backfill that blade up. And I have to imagine that's an annoying process and for a landfill.
For sure. In land space, always at a premium,
Yep. Okay.
landfill
Perfect.
space. I mean, yeah.
Jeremy, the good news is that you are talking to the right people to bring this information forward. My name is Brian Loma, by the way. I work with Green Latinos here in Colorado and some other things. But I'm super interested. I'm dropping my email in the chat because I have to go testify at the Capitol this afternoon on food waste reduction efforts in our state. And would absolutely like to get this PowerPoint so I can click on some of these links and learn more about how we can divert this material and what we can do to make that more feasible.
Yep. Awesome. Let me see. I'll make sure I grab your email. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. And Allie has it too. I'm the hazardous materials and waste diversion advocate for Green Latinos. So this is right up my job title
Perfect. Pleasure to meet you.
as well.
All right, awkward Zoom pause. Any other questions? Sounds like Danielle would also like to connect. So I'll send out Jeremy's information to everyone after the meeting, along with this recording. And if Jeremy feels comfortable, I'll send out his slides, or I can just get some links and stuff from you to share out with everyone. So, okay. Pausing. Liz? Question master? Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy, for being here, presenting for us, and just doing what you do. It sounds like you are making a huge impact in a little space that we probably don't even think about here in Colorado. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing with us the impact that you are making.
You're welcome. Baby steps.
Big baby steps, it sounds like, for sure. Cool. Well, thank you guys for joining. This recording will be available so you can share it out if you have people in these states that want to get connected with Jeremy. I think that would be super awesome if we could do that. And get more blades recycled. Get Jeremy some more projects. I'm sure he's excited about that.
Love fiberglass dust. It's great.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to just reach out to Liz or I, and we're happy to help. So thank you.
Yeah, everybody have a good day.
Thanks. Yeah.